and we've got a lot to celebrate.
Carol Beaumont.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to talk about a serious matter, and that is the issue of housing. This is not an area for great celebration under this national government. But look, let's talk about housing and why it is important. It is something that there is a fundamental need for, that we all as human beings have the need for shelter, that there are important health consequences of us having warm, safe shelter. And if we live, as many do who are homeless out on the streets, our health suffers. If we live in damp houses, our health suffers. It also has consequences for education. Ensuring children have a stable home that they can live in means that they will go to the local school often, that they will regularly build up their relationships with their teachers and their fellow students and get better educational outcomes. It is important from the point of view of standard of living. The cost of housing is one of the most significant costs that a family bears, whether that be through rental or mortgage. And so that is an important element too. What's left over is what families can then afford to feed themselves and to get around and to clothe themselves. But it's not just those things. It's about how people have a sense of home and community. Housing is about giving people a place to live, a place to stand, somewhere that they can engage with others, somewhere that is their own. And that isn't just as important. It's not just about the building. It's also about what that symbolises and the connections and relationships that go with it. And this is well understood by Labour. We have always had a strong commitment to housing, and we rebuilt homes for New Zealanders after the actions of the national government in the 1990s, where they introduced market rents that put many families in dire financial problems, where thousands of state houses were sold and not replaced, so we had less social housing to house our population, where there was absolutely no modernisation undertaken during the 1990s. Very rich from that party across there who seemed to make a lot of noise about what Labour didn't do. We added, on the other hand, 8,000 houses. We added back 8,000 Housing New Zealand homes. We brought in income-related rents to try and ensure families could get by. We built Talbot Park, a significant urban renewal project in Tamaki. So when we talk about Tamaki transformation, just recollect that that was started under Labour and that we actually did do something despite what those opposites seem to be spinning. Because you can see the spin lines, it's almost like they're written in front of me, frankly. What's happening now? Well, families are struggling to make ends meet. The gap between rich and poor is growing in our nation. We have children living in poverty. 1 in 5 of our children are living in poverty, and those people will be living, if they are lucky, in a house, because we have children living in garages and cars. But if they're living in a house, they will be potentially overcrowded, and many of them are suffering from third world diseases caused by overcrowding. This is the picture of now, the picture under this shiny John Key-led national government. So National, now, what are they doing? Well, National's policy in relation to housing is to sell them. Get rid of Housing New Zealand houses and shift the responsibility to others. Move it on to the community sector. Don't put in new houses or provide community sector with the ability to create additional houses. Just sell them. They are going to be increasing the cost to families who will be housed in the community sector but not receive income-related rents. The Minister has made that very clear. That will mean rents will rise for low-income New Zealand families. Let's look at what's happening in Glen Innes. This is the first major housing built under the Tamaki Transformation Project. There was Talbot Park, TTP was put in place, very little has actually been done since that time, and finally National's doing something. What's happening? Well, long-term residents are being relocated, and there is no option for them to return to their community, despite weird sort of comments from the Minister about a whole bundle of options. Well, the Housing New Zealand document makes it clear. Any transfer will be a permanent one. There is no going back. Housing New Zealand stock is being significantly reduced. This is an area potentially that is obviously by National seen as too good for the sort of people who, if they're lucky, have got a job in Mount Wellington. That's what Lee Mathias said, chair of Sam Lotoainga's electorate committee and chair of the interim Tamaki Transformation Board. They are moving stock to the community sector, as I said, where costs will increase. How will that assist families already struggling?